We're going to whip together a vegetarian lasagna, and it's pretty simple and quick too. The majority of the time will be obviously the preparation. We'll talk about prep, cutting it up, keeping it nice and thin, but actually just letting it all cook in the oven for about 40 or 50 minutes to let it really cook through some of those harder vegetables, and of course lasagna as well. Now what I've got going already is, thank you Bobby, we've got Bobby there, just a lug of butter. Just going to do a little bit of the white sauce as well. And that's a bit of flour, a bit of garlic. I'll get you to whip round there, camera crew. And we'll get some white sauce going. Now in there, just as I said, a little bit of butter. You just want to kind of get some flour in there, just some plain flour with the butter. Wait for it to kind of melt in a bit. And this is the base for that bechamel sauce. Okay, so let's just go 2 kind of nice spoons of that. Now with a wooden spoon, just melting that through, just letting the butter and the flour just melt through there. Just let that sit for a second while that's cooking through. Now you can use a cream or a milk or a combo. We're going to do a combo. We're going to add cheeses to it. Again, to create that kind of bechamel sauce. There's nothing better than a bechamel sauce with lasagna, so I always encourage you to go that extra to make the sauce rather than to leave it without a sauce. Okay, so just can hear that cooking through, and it's a slow process, so I just keep adding to it. Just a little bit of cream as well, salt and pepper. There's going to be lots of cheese in this, and I'm actually going to, because this is a vegetarian lasagna, we're going to, with salt as well, we're going to do some spinach as well, so it'll create that kind of green bechamel sauce. Okay, and again, it's just slowly adding it in, letting it kind of cook through, breaking up that flour and butter, a bit of cream, water, and we'll probably end up, let's see how we go, we'll probably end up putting a little bit more flour in it, just to break it up. So you want to get those lumps out, which by doing it by stages, that's what you're doing. Add some cheese. I'm kind of generous with the cheese, because there's lots of layers of this when it goes in to the, or on top, or various layers of the lasagna as well. How's that smell, Bob? Obviously not that good yet. Okay, just again, adding bit by bit. That wilts down that spinach. You can see it's starting to thicken up because of the cheese that we've got in there. So you don't want to go too thick, but you don't want too thin either. So we kind of add in, and I've got some mozzarella. So that was just a cheddar before, and I've got some mozzarella here. Now, what I hadn't done, and I'll do it now, is just a little bit of garlic as well. So there'll be a couple of cloves of garlic. Again, that give that really yummy flavour of the sauce. Now with the vegetables themselves, I've got a number of things. Pardon me, with capsicum, we've got some sweet potato, I've got eggplant, some tomato, red onion. There's anything you can, zucchini, leek. There's a lot of things you can kind of put in there. I find a lot of the flavour comes from that sweet potato. So mixing that right through, make sure you get that kind of garlic. We can add some more of that spinach in, and I'm going to probably need to put a little bit more, might put cream in there again. We'll use all that. And this is like a yummy cheese fondue. It's just great. I mean, that could be a dish in itself, just that, with some crusty bread. Okay, that's looking good consistency-wise. Sometimes I'll drop an egg in there. We don't need to. And sometimes you could even put a little bit of nutmeg in it as well. There's lots of kind of different flavours you can do there. Even a bit of chilli. Give it a little bit extra heat. Okay, I think that's just about done. We'll let that sit. whilst we start to layer up the rest. Just give it a good kind of, get a sense of what that looks like. All right, we might leave that and then we'll come back and we'll show you the different layers as we start to layer it up. Okay, there's the bechamel sauce. That's beautiful, right consistency, lots of cheesiness, green to add to this vegetarian. Okay, so what we can do is I've just got a bit of tomato and there's a bit of salsa, kind of tomato salsa in there. Okay, so just a little layer. This is kind of layers, just the bottom. A lot of people do, when they make these lasagnas, they tend to put the lasagna sheets on the bottom, but what happens is they stick and you don't want the lasagna sheets to stick to the bottom. Okay, so just a little bit of that on the side. Let's get, what have I got there? I've got 6 sheets, that's heaps. Okay, so that just, I mean, they're not perfect, but they'll do, okay? So let's then just layer it up, okay? Just layering it up with whatever veggies you've kind of got. And you can just see it. These are going to cook in that sort of 40 or 50 minute time frame that we'll have it going for. Put some onion, red onion in there, some eggplant. Now you could pre-cook all this and then load it in, but this is much easier. Just one go in the heat. And what I want to do is, you don't want to burn it, okay? So just give that opportunity when we've been in the oven that long. We're going to put a bit of alpha foil on it just to stop it from cooking too much on top, because you don't want to burn. You want to have a little bit of that cheese burn. Just have a bit of control over it. Okay, so just layer and layer. Now we might even put a tiny bit of the bechamel as well. Take it all the way to the edge. And beautiful, look at that. And we'll squeeze it down a little bit so obviously you can get it in a deeper dish or deepest dish that you can find, which allows you to kind of build up as many layers as you can. Okay, some yummy tomato. How's that feel? It's obviously a little bit too much for him. He's taking the back stools a little bit there. That looks good. Okay, some capsicum. Awesome. Now it's really already starting to get pretty big and thick, so I'm trying to get it down a little bit. Okay, just slightly pushing it down a bit. We've cut up way too many of these, that's okay. We can use these for something else. And that's probably even enough. We don't want to load that too much on there. A little bit more bechamel. Okay, and just bring it to the edge again. So what this also does, a lot of moisture in here, all this, the liquid from that will help a lot of the veggies cook as well. Okay, so we might even see if we can squeeze 2 of those in. That's not going to work. No, let's keep it like that. A bit more of the, let's get all that in. And then we'll just put the last bit, a little bit of bechamel on that top. Taking it right to the edge. Now, I said that we're going to put a foil lid on it, but I'm also going to put a little bit of baking paper before we put the foil lid, because what tends to happen is the foil sticks and you won't get it off. Okay, so that baking paper before the foil allows it trying to get it over the edge. There we go. And just tucking that in and keeping it in. Fantastic. We'll put just a tiny little bit more that second cheese on top. There's a loaded vegetarian lasagna that we'll cover up and we'll put in the oven about 40 or 50 minutes just to check that it's cooked might want to get a really sharp knife and just pierce. See if you can pierce, in particular, the sweet potatoes can be the hardest part. So once that goes in soft, you'll know it's done.